A freshman at Loudoun County Public High School in Virginia is trying to start a pro-life club at her school. She's being denied by her principal, who says the group would be too controversial. It's not the only school where Students for Life is facing resistance. Since last February, the group has had trouble getting approval at 35 high schools across the country. Joining me now is the president of Students for Life of America, Kristan Hawkins. Kristan, great having you here today. So let's talk about the kind of resistance that this young lady in Virginia has specifically faced in trying to start a Students for Life organization.
Sure. Well, Maddie went to her principal this February asking how she could start a Students for Life group, and he said, just get a student, teacher, faculty advisor. And so she found this teacher, and she went to the principal, and she said, I've got everything I need. Can I start my group now? And he said, well, why don't you look at the Christian group? And I think maybe you should just join the Christian group instead of joining a pro-life group. And Maddie held our position at Students for Life, which is abortion isn't a religious, it's a human rights issue, and that pro-life group should be open to people of all faith. And so she's gone back to her principal now for a third time, asked him again to allow her to start her Students for Life group, and he's denied her, this time saying it's just simply too controversial, and he's already disallowed 3 other silly groups from starting this year.
Okay, so controversial. Are there some other groups in the campus that some might find a little controversial?
Sure, there's a Republicans group, there's a Democrats group. You know, they're able to have free discussion on her college campus. But this is what we're seeing. A
high school.
Yes. Right. But this is what we're seeing all across the country in high schools and college campuses, is that administration officials say it's just too controversial or it's too offensive. We don't want to talk about abortion. And that's not right, because we're not asking for special rights or special treatment. We're just asking for equal treatment, because this is an issue that affects high school and college girls. Planned Parenthood sets up shop. 79% of Planned Parenthoods, the nation's largest abortion vendor, are 5 miles from a college campus. And we have former Planned Parenthood workers like Abby Johnson who've come out and said this is their business cycle, that they go to the high schools, they run sex education programs, they say come back to us when you're in trouble, they give them contraception STD tests, contraception that has a 15% failure rate, then no surprise she comes back for the abortion, and then repeat for the rest of her life.
So you have trouble getting these clubs started on campuses all over the country. Yeah. Is the excuse typically you're too controversial? Are some of them honest and just say, we don't want that point of view on our campus? Abortion's
labeled as political, controversial, or offensive. And we say this is a human rights issue, just like water in Africa. This is a core issue of the right to be born. And pro-life students have the right to talk about, because this is an issue that they're going to deal with for the rest of their life. Do you, as a human being, have the right to be born?
Do you think that this case in Virginia, will it get reversed? Is there going to be an opportunity, maybe the principal, to look at it again and say, well, you know what, it's a point of view. That's what kids are supposed to learn, is how to think for themselves, how to take a stand for what they believe. Any possibility that you'll see a chapter started there?
I think we will. In every single one of the cases we've had this year, we have always been victorious. Now, we've had to get our lawyers involved. In some campuses, we've had to invoke public pressure, but we've always been victorious, because the First Amendment, the Constitution, is always on our side.
Didn't know it had been repealed. I hope it's still working in America. Kristan, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Well, she was taken from her family by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But Boston Globe reporter Michael Levinson says Justina Pelletier's case of mismanagement is not an isolated one. He says there are hundreds of child cases that have been bungled by the state. He'll join us with some shocking details. That's next.